Hello Year 4. Today in reading you are going to identify and explain the meaning of words. First thing I would like you to do is use this YouTube link to listen to the prologue of our reading book Sky Song. When you hear the sentence, "But darkness can come to any kingdom," I would like you to pause the video there for me and come back to this one. So, click on the YouTube link, have a listen to the prologue up until "But darkness can come to any kingdom," and come back to this video for me. Okay, so with this, what we have found out is a little bit about the world of Erkenwald. So, we looked at the blurb yesterday, and now we are identifying slightly more about the world. We're getting into the novel, we're finding out about the story. What I've got here, and you'll have in your sheet, is a section of the text. I've blacked out a few words here, and what I'd like you to do is think, what words could go in here? So, don't re-listen to the story. Have a go at thinking what words would fit in here that you can think of. I'd like you to pause the video again and see if you can fit in words that make sense in these places. So here we have, "Such was his power that he only needed to blow the something frost horn." So what words could we have here? What do we think the frost horn is? Could it be, for example, the powerful frost horn, or the amazing frost horn, or the magical frost horn? So what I've actually got here from the story is the legendary frost horn. So legendary means that something isn't believed anymore, but it could have existed. It's so unusual that it's happened that it might not have happened at all. We carry on. "Once the empty stretches of ice a miles below began to change, mountains, forests, and something appeared." So it could have been mountains, forests, and towns, or mountains, forests, and huge swaths of ice. So what I've actually got here are glaciers. Now glaciers, as we'll find out in a second, are huge parts of compacted ice that move. They take a long time to move, but they generally move kind of like a river, but it's compacted ice. Moving on, then animals arrived. Polar bears to roam the something. Now what could polar bears roam? Remember, this is in a magical place that's surrounded by ice. So polar bears to roam the snow, polar bears to roam the ice. It could be the polar bears roam the area. Now what I've got here is the polar bears roam the tundra. Now, the tundra is a huge section of barren ice where there's not a lot existing on it. And as I'm sure you're aware, polar bears live and thrive in these areas. Moving on, whales to glide through the ocean and wolves to stalk between the trees. Finally, the music of the frost horn conjured people, men and women of something shapes. So, men and women of unique shapes, men and women of amazing shapes, men and women of fantastic shapes. What I've got here is men and women of different shapes, sizes and colours scattered throughout the something. So scattered throughout the ice, scattered throughout the plains maybe. Not the flying planes, but plain as in there's not a lot on it. And it could even be scattered throughout the city. There might be life flowing here now, perhaps a natural city forming. What I've actually got here scattered throughout the land. So the land of Erkenwald is where we are basing our story, where we're getting our ideas. Next I've got here, if there are any words that you're unsure of. So I've compiled some words that you'll hear in the prologue that maybe you're not used to hearing. And here they are. And you will find these on your sheets as well. I've attached them at the bottom so you can refer to them when you re-listen to the story if you're not sure what they mean. So this is my glossary of words. Well, a glacier, a tundra, a caribou, a shaman, and tethering are what their definitions are. Now, this is what your worksheet looks today. I've included a link to the prologue as well in case you need to go back and re-listen to it. There's our first task. So, sapphire and bronze. Your task is to match these words to their definitions. You can just draw a straight line or you can rearrange them, whatever's easiest for you. Then I would like you to write some sentences with these words to make sure that they still make sense. Your challenge is to replace it with a synonym, words that are similar and hopefully more interesting. If you can't think of any, that's okay. I've given you a link to a thesaurus at the bottom there And here is our glossary of words. Silver, your task is to find the definitions for these words. These are in the prologue. These are all in page 2, which I've also included. So I'd like you to scan through that, find these words, see where they make sense, and see if you can find a definition for them. Can you guess a definition? And then can you confirm it with your dictionary? What I'd like you to do then is create your own sentences with this, not based off the book. And your challenge as well, find synonyms. How can we replace these words with perhaps more interesting words? And again, I've got your glossary here. Finally, gold. You have these words to find. These words to define using either your own knowledge, either your awareness of how these words are used in the text, or from a dictionary if you're really, really struggling. And again, I'm looking for sentences for these. I'd like to know that you can use these once you know what they mean in your own sentences. Again, synonyms. Can you find more interesting words? Can you find different words? Are there words that you think would work better? Are there words that are more effective? In the last 5 minutes of your reading session, I would really like you all to have a go as well at the plenary task. So find a word in the text that means a place ruled by a king, and a word that means moving from place to place. So these you will find in the prologue. So you need to re-listen to that as well to see if you can find it. Thank you very much, Year 4. You've got this. Stay safe, and we will speak again soon. Bye.